Good morning.
Let's talk about yesterday. You came out for nationalisation of British steel.
Yes.
Look, steelmaking is one of the worst polluting industries in the world. Why should the state literally subsidise the private sector's dirty work?
Well, we want to accelerate the drive towards green steel with electric arc furnaces. That's a direction the industry's got to move in. But the truth is that steel, and it needs to be green steel, is essential for the transition to a green economy, whether it's manufacturing more wind turbines, whether it's manufacturing trains and train tracks, the sorts of things we need for a green future. Steel is crucial to, and we want our economy to be more resilient. In fact, Greens have been arguing for decades that we need to have the ability to produce more of the manufactured goods as well as more of the food that we need within our country. And with what we're seeing now with the international political climate and the bullying behaviour of President Trump, it only underlines our point that we need to be able to produce these things more locally. And if that means bring it back into public ownership, which Greens have long argued we should do for core utilities, then that's what's going to give us the confidence to do so.
This may sound a bit of a nerdy techie point, but the point is you agreed a deal yesterday to keep blast furnaces in production that will not produce green steel. That's not what they do. You can't do it with them. So why did you support it?
We supported that because Greens want to see a fair transition to a green economy. We want all the workers that are working in the steel plants.
This is going in the opposite direction.
And we want to see people who are working in oil fields in Scotland supported into jobs in green industries. It's not about just cutting it off overnight. It's about saying let's have an active and rapid plan to move towards a green future. And so we do need to do this, but there's a real risk that the government's just going to effectively subsidise a Chinese-owned company rather than facing the inevitable, which is that it needs to bring it into public ownership so that you've got the ability to direct the future, ensure it is a green future for steel in the UK. We protect the jobs and we invest in a green economy.
But the one thing you'll be sure about is you'll have the ability to spend 700 grand a day on filthy industries.
Well, it looks like the government is going to be spending a lot of that money anyway, but propping up a foreign-owned company rather than bringing it into public ownership and ensuring we can direct it into a green future and all the things that we need for a green economy, whether that's public transport or renewable energy.
Well, this is, as you say, your pitch is that this is about a green economy. Does it therefore feel a bit awkward to be on the same side as Nigel Farage, who doesn't think that net zero is a thing?
Well, we saw across Parliament yesterday a consensus that action needs to be taken, and that was
No, but you and Nigel Farage are the only people who said nationalise now.
Well, the Green Party's...
Reform and Green are in the same bucket.
A stop clock can be right twice a day, but the reality is that the Green Party is pressing for this because we want to transition to a green future. We're the ones saying that it needs to be that we support the steel sector to go for electric arc furnaces, to invest in a green economy. That's not what Nigel Farage is arguing for. So we've got a vision for a future which actually will not only protect but create new jobs, whether that's in better public transport, producing more of our food locally, supporting British manufacturing with the huge opportunities there are in green industries. The other parties have been supporting economic globalisation for decades. We're the ones that have been saying for decades that it actually increases inequality at home and abroad, it loses jobs, we undermine our manufacturing base, we make ourselves less resilient to changes in the climate. I want the UK to be resilient to changes in the climate, to the international political volatility, and that means producing more food, more manufactured goods in the UK and with all the jobs that come with that.
You mentioned Mr. Trump and what you call his bullying. Do you think the government is going too softly on Mr. Trump? Would the Greens retaliate? Would you impose reciprocal tariffs on American goods?
What we want to do is to work with our most closest trading allies, geographically closest in the European Union, that's the most obvious, but also other countries that have similar values, similar economic policies to us, whether that be
You're describing the United
elsewhere.
States there.
So
closest partner, biggest partner.
Geographically, I think you'll find geographically closest is the European Union and other European countries who we need to make sure we are working with. Including on what's the best way of dealing with Trump's bullying behaviour. But we've got to make sure we build a resilient economy as well, and that's where it comes down to the points I was making. How do we ensure we are creating jobs that last for the future, that we're producing more manufactured goods in this country, we're supporting supporting our farmers to produce more food in the UK. That's what's going to tackle the fact that we could see the scenes we saw during COVID of empty supermarket shelves. That could become commonplace with climate breakdown unless we really take seriously the need to make our economy more resilient with all of the jobs-creating opportunities that come with that.
All right, we're heading for local elections. You have opposed expansion of Luton and Heathrow airports. Mm-hmm. You've called for pauses to pylon infrastructure development in your own constituency. You don't like the government's planning reforms. Is there anything that would boost growth that you like?
Well, the government's plans for airport expansion would wipe out the entirety of the carbon benefits of their own clean power plan. It would literally undermine anything good that they're doing. But yes, Greens have a positive vision for the sorts of development we want to see. People in my own constituency and across the country say to me all the time, the homes that we're seeing built are not affordable to local people. People are being priced out of being able to live in their local communities. And did you know we've got over 1 million sites, 1.4 million sites, where developers have been given planning permission to build homes and haven't done it. They're sitting on the land, they're just speculating on land prices.
So how would you make them build?
The government needs to be tougher.
It's their land, they don't have to build if they don't want to.
One thing they could say is you won't get planning permission for new developments until you build the ones you've already got planning permission for. That's one thing they could be very tough on. They could be tougher in saying when you are building new developments, we need more affordable housing as part of that, and you must invest in the infrastructure because there's no point in building homes without building the public transport infrastructure, investing in health services that people need to go.
But I don't see how that works. Somebody's got a plot of land, they're not building on it, and your threat is we won't give you the permission to build on it if you don't build on it.
What I'm saying is often the same developers come back and apply for planning permission on other sites without having built.
Oh, so you'd blacklist some developers?
Well, that's one approach you could take. You could also say we will impose a higher tax on you on that site if you don't go ahead and build something that you've got planning permission for. Isn't it ridiculous that the government is saying we need 1.5 million new homes, but the 1.4 million that have already got planning permission, we're just going to let developers sit on that land and bank the profits accordingly? That's no way to manage land in this country. It's no way to make sure that people get access to the affordable housing that they need alongside the services that need to go with them. The government just has a laissez-faire approach to letting developers behave however they want, and they need to be far tougher with them to make sure we're delivering the affordable housing and the local services that people need.
All right, I'm asking everybody this question, so it's not unfairly directed at you. What's a good local election result?
Well, a good local election result for the Green Party is what would be an 8th year in a row of us having a record number of councillors. Did you know that we're the only party in the UK to have increased our number of councillors every year for the last 7 years? And that's because we've got a track record of delivering for communities, standing up to protect the environment, restore services.
So one more seat than now is good enough for you?
It will be more than that, Trevor, but I'm confident from the response we're getting on the doorstep, from the energy in our local campaigns across the country, we will see more Green gains this time. We've got over 800 councillors across the country, over 40 councils where Greens are part of the administration. And for all those people out there who are looking for a change, understandably disillusioned with the other parties, we're the party that's got a principled opposition and a track record of delivery.
Adrian Ramsay, thanks for your time
this morning. Thank you very much.